There's Mr. Saldarini.
How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Sorry about that little issue we had.
No problem.
Glitch in the system. Little glitch in the system. I am just finishing up. While we were waiting, we were just doing a slow chat on appraisals and some of the issues that we got going on in this world. And
yeah, I've had a few low appraisals myself, so.
Did you?
Problem. Yep.
Yes, they definitely are. Well, listen, I'm going to dive right into things here, and let me get everything set up to see if anybody's got any questions. Okay. All right. Mr. Saldarini, it is a pleasure to have you here at the Coach's Corner. Not only is it a pleasure to have the real estate agent, Bryan Saldarini, but Bryan Saldarini is also my brother-in-law, so we get a lot of
I thought we agreed we weren't going to say that.
Oh, that's right. I forget. I think I'm more excited about it than you are. It is fun for those who have family members that real estate. I mean, him and I, Brian, Father's Day, we were together, and he was hammering out. Did you get that deal over at D.R. Horton? Did you get that hammered out?
Taylor Morrison, but yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just it's fun to be able to have as well, like at family events. I know we try to keep things separate, but at the same token, we like to talk shop. So, excuse me. So kind of what this is, and you and I have talked about it already, is kind of share a little bit of your story, and then at the same token, help other agents out there who are going through some challenges as well. And one of the things that a lot of people may or may not know about you is I remember as if it was yesterday, maybe a couple of days ago, that you and I sat at Toast a couple of years ago and talked real estate, and you were working for Bank of America and you were getting ready to make that change. And one of the admirable things that I found about you, new, but it's amazing to watch people go through it where you're a six-figure secure job to some extent. I know bank corporate, you never know, but I mean, you came from having a consistent, you have a family, obviously my sister, you got 2 kids, and to make that plunge into the unknown of where the hell is my next paycheck going to come through and what I had, and to go over that adversity that you did to become one of the top 100 real estate agents, doing 10 million in sales. I don't know what your exact numbers are, but I know they're over 10 million. Yet I know it wasn't like a smooth, easy transition. It wasn't like, wow, that was really fun. I knew we had several conversations of, what you went through, and it was pretty cool being on my side of this game to watch you grow. Kind of share with us a little bit about that journey of what it, mindset wise, because there's a lot of agents, I'm sure, with Corona right now, is wondering, do I stick it out? Do I not stick it out? What do I need to do? So kind of share with us a little bit about your journey and what brought you to where you're sitting today.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, I come from a background in financial services. I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers, better known as PwC, and then Bank of America for the better part of about 14 years, and had the jobs that everybody wants, consulting, project management, technology-based, felt secure, definitely had the golden handcuffs on. It was, a job that I felt like I should have. And I provided for my family and had benefits and all the stuff that everyone, likes to have at those jobs. And I think people who have them and enjoy them, it's fantastic. It was not for me. And I had started real estate on the side, and I started transacting, a few homes. And then, I was doing like 7 to 10 a year for the last couple of years before I left the bank. And I got to that point where I was like, I really, really enjoy doing this. And I really don't enjoy working at the bank. So I should leave. And I think from the point that I said I should leave to when I actually did leave probably took me about 2 years, which I find is common for a lot of people, because it's hard to walk away from solid, good income that, you feel you've got forever. But the reality is the bank could cut me any day and then I'm out to dry. And here, the market can swing, but I have found in real estate and self-employment in general, you work as hard as you want to make. And as a result of that, you make as much as you can. Based on how much you're working. And for me, it's been, a bit of a bumpy ride. The first year was a little bit rough, didn't do the number of transactions I wanted to. I think I did about a dozen. I burned through a lot of savings. I'm really glad I had them, or I probably wouldn't have made it. And then, in year 2, it blew up, and I did about 35 deals, and made, more than I was between real estate and the bank. So it jumped up and surpassed, and this year I'm hoping for even more growth. So
elaborate on that in reference to, like, in a lot of times, and where you're very humble. So to me, I'm going to share with you, what is your projected number to make this year?
in terms of volume sold,
Yeah.
If I were to meet my goals, it would be 18 million. I'm not on pace for it right now. I'll tell you that. I was looking before the call, because I'll be honest with you, I have the coach and I have numbers that I track, but I tend not to look at what I've done. I just focus on serving clients, selling homes, doing what I need to do on a daily basis. But, closed and pending this year, I have 5.4, which is good. I mean, we're halfway through the year. I think any agent would be happy with that. For me, I'm not happy, because I want to be, at 8 or 9 right now, and on pace for that 18. COVID happened in the middle of it, which I'm sure we're going to talk about it. That plays a part, but it's also launched. I mean, since COVID stopped, I've got 8 deals pending right now, 7 of them in July, 1 in August, and I have 2 listing appointments this week, and I have 3 or 4 very active buyers. So I very much so feel like between June, July and August, I can probably do 20 or 25 deals. So
is it safe to say, when you were in the Corona world, and you and I had several conversations during Corona, and that's one of the great things that I like is being able to just, you banter with me just as much as I banter with you, and we call each other to the table, like, Brock, what did you do? Where are you at? Okay, you suck. And it's a positive competition. I'm extremely competitive where it is. I look at what you do, and you come down and you tell me what appointments you have. But take us through, like, your mindset, because I do know you were at home for a little period of time, but then it was literally a light switch. I don't remember the exact date, but, like, you just showed face and you just started kicking ass again. And what got you over to that point? Because there's a lot of agents still in that roller coaster. They're still on the, well, I'm going to wait for Corona because I'm still hearing it. Like, what was there a deciding factor for you?
Sure. I mean, the simple thing is I got out of my house. I am not a work from home person, and I was working from home, and I was getting distracted by a lot of other things, kids being home, projects at home, just kind of the lulls of, COVID, and starting to believe like maybe things aren't happening the way they should be and all that kind of stuff. So it caught me for a little bit. And then I got to that point where it was just like, you know what? I can't stay here anymore. I can't sit here. Like, you feel like, I'm sure like everybody out here, I mean, COVID's a real thing, and people feel affected and stuck in their homes because of it and stuck in their lives. And I just left, and started coming back to the office and working and acting like things were normal. I still took precautions and did what was necessary with clients and whatever anybody requested. But my mindset went from, we're in the middle of a pandemic to business as usual. And that's really what it was. And that's how I try to operate now. Irrelevant of what's happening in the world, society, politics, which is a million things right now. If you can keep a mindset where you're like, it's business as usual, what happens around us shouldn't matter. It's what we do each day to execute is what's going to define our success.
Well, you and I are advocates of Brown, and we listen to him a lot. And Les Brown always talks about focus on what you can control. The Serenity Prayer talks about control and focus on those aspects and those things, because if we let our mind go days of like, oh my goodness, this is taking place, like, we can always come up with an excuse, I think, for pretty much every single day of what we got going on. And it was fascinating to watch you take a light switch. And I say agents out there, it's like, it's all in your head. Like, if you can just mindset tell you, like, it's a normal day today, it's normal business. Damn, I mean, look how much you got going on for July. Would you say 8 pending or 7 pending, 1 in August? Yep. I mean, it doesn't happen like yesterday. Like, that happened a couple weeks ago, and that happened with your pipeline. So for agents who are watching, let's talk about, like, what are you doing now? Are you doing like care calls? Are you doing like case calls? Are you what income income producing? What income producing activities are you doing that you can say, agents, hey, this is what's worked for me?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a phone guy. As anybody who's around me in the business knows, I'm a prospector. I'm the first to admit that I'm not prospecting as much as I feel like I should. I think that if I was consistently hitting the daily contacts and people I should be talking to every day, I'd probably be doing 30 or 40% more than I am right now. That's something I keep working on because it's that
So
balance.
let's say that again, because I find it very fascinating. A top agent like you still feel you're not doing enough income producing. What is in your mind? Because a lot of people don't know what like do I do an hour? Do I do 4 hours?
Yeah, so I mean,
What is
to
your
me, a solid day is 3 hours of prospecting and at least 25 and really probably 30 to 35 contacts. I'm probably averaging more like 20, which is still good, and I think most people should be happy with that. But for me to hit the numbers I want, it needs to be more. And the reason I say I know it could be more is because a lot of my business comes from people that I know. It comes from my sphere, from past clients, referrals, church, wherever. People who know me, trust me, want to work with myself and my wife. And then there's the people I don't know, which I generate the rest of my business from. And if I was hitting that harder than I am now, I'm sure that I'd be pulling in more of those, and you'd be seeing 3 or 4 more deals in July, and I'd already have a couple more in August. And I'm not complaining, but I know that there's more I could do. But as you get more business, any agent can tell you, I start to hit that 7 to 10 transactions in a month. And you'll get bogged down with, you talk about the income servicing. You're handling all the things that you don't probably need to be handling, and I've got transaction coordinator and I have some support. But weeks like this, yesterday I was texting my wife and I was like, I need like a couple of personal assistants, just so I can because I had all these plans to do things. And I started at 1:30, and at 4:30, I think I spent 3 hours just hammering out whatever fire drills came up. And that's not how you want to have your day.
So speaking of your day, you mentioned 3 hours, and I find measurables are so important because a lot of agents you don't know. And even I don't care what you are in the business. I think most top agents would say like I always can do more because they want more. It's to me it's like weight training. It's like, oh, I wish I could lift this much weight, and then you're like, I do more. So in your 3 hours, are you doing 3 hours all at once? Are you breaking it up? Are you doing a sphere of influence?
I mean, I'm not hitting the 3 hours is the first thing to say, and I'm the first to admit it. And the guys who are sitting in the other room watching right now would probably knock on the door if I started to say that I was. No, I'm trying to take breaks. I mean, I get coached by the Mike Ferry organization, and I mean, their idea of prospecting is 50 minutes of calls with 10 minutes off. I mean, there's not a belief that you're going to sit there chained to a desk for 3 straight hours, just dialing and dialing. I mean, there are some warriors out there who do that, but from a mindset perspective and a sanity perspective, it's good to take a break. Like I've started to take walks around the block here at the office. So like I'll finish an hour or an hour and a half. I'll go outside, I'll walk the block, I'll come back and I'll start again. Because you got to give yourself some mindset, because the majority of prospecting and calling people is rejection. Whether it's people not wanting to talk to you, hanging up on you, even maybe being rude to you, or just nobody's answering the phone. That feels like rejection too. It's like, well, I called 50 people, but nobody answered. Well, maybe 51 answers and you get the deal. So, I mean, there's rejection, whether it's direct or indirect. So you've got to have ways to get through that. Whatever it is you use, you got to give yourself little breaks because as Mike likes to say, this is 90% mindset and 10% skills. I've seen plenty of unskilled agents be successful and do pretty well in this business. And I've seen a lot of really skilled people not, because they don't do the work.
So 30 minutes, what does that look like? Are you do you have like a set Monday through Friday? Are you doing like for sale by owners, expireds? Like, what does that look like?
Expired, for sale by owners, my sphere of influence, which is, past clients, people that I know, people that like me will refer me, would send people my way for sure. I also will do just listed, just sold. So, if I list a property or sell a property, I'm calling people in the neighborhood to let them know that I've just listed it, to try to help my client sell the property. Because as everybody here who's an agent knows, if you move kids to the area, the chances of moving their parents or a sibling or somebody else is highly likely. So you just never know if there's somebody looking for a home in that area, and then you call their brother and all of a sudden they're coming down from New York and they're buying the house. So I do a lot of those calls. Those are a little bit harder because it's a very, very cold call. It's somebody who probably hasn't thought about even selling their house, and you might come across a few that all of a sudden are. And if you're the first person to talk to them, your chances of being the person that lists that house are a whole lot higher.
That's a key comment.
If you're the first person to talk to them, it's a whole lot better chance you're the person that listed. Even if they know an agent or are thinking about it, if they're in that thought process and you're the person that calls and says, hey, I just sold a house for $250, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and homes are moving quickly. I actually had multiple offers on it, and I have other buyers looking, which is a fact on most of these homes. They're going to be like, really? Be like, yeah, would you like to get your home up and sell it? Because I can tell you, I can call those agents right now and say there's another one coming. I mean, there's a lot of power in that. So
one of the questions that just came up right now was in reference to, I know your answer, but I want you to say it, is how are you getting the just listed, just sold number? Numbers?
Yeah, I use a service to get that. So you can pay for prospecting services. I'm pretty sure, due to disclosures, I'm not supposed to say what system I'm using to get the numbers, because they have you sign a disclosure on that. But if you search for prospecting systems, there are systems out there, and I'll give you names of some. And one of them I use, RedX, Vulcan, Arch Agent. All those systems are ones that people are familiar with, and all of those will provide you with numbers for just listed, just solds. I can tell you that from people who've reviewed it and overall reviews it gets, I know that Vulcan has probably some of the best just listed, just sold information overall, but all those systems work. It's better to have some numbers than no numbers.
So I don't know what you can. For my side, we use Arch Agent, as you know, and our Arch Agent for our numbers to be able to do it roughly is about $100 a month. It depends if you want to get the dialer and all that, then it goes up to about 150. For Vulcan, do you have a price to let people know like what that looks like?
I mean, I have everything, so mine's expensive. I pay about $450 a month.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay, the biggest chunk you're going to pay is for the just listed, just sold, which is called neighborhood data. That's the most expensive part. For dialer and for expireds and visbos, which most people want, I think it's like $250 maybe or so, which I'm sure sounds like a lot of money. But go figure out what your average commission check is and tell me if one commission check would cover the year, and it probably would, and then some. So if you got one deal off your system, you break even.
So you just listed, just sold, since that seems to be a topic here. I remember when I was doing, I think I did 250 contacts or dials is what I wanted to do in one day, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I mean it took me 12 hours. It was a long day to be able to do all those dials, and I remember you saying, if you need to get dials in, call just listed, just sold. Elaborate a little bit on that for those people who really aren't too sure what the pros and cons of just listed.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to be the first person they talk to, but what are some of the other pros?
I mean, it's a high volume game. And when I say that, I mean, like, you're going to make a lot of dials before you, one, get somebody, and also two, land a prospect. But for just a dials purpose, I mean, there's a good chance you might rip through like 12 or 13 dials in a matter of a couple of minutes and no one answers. So what better way to get a lot of dials if that's your goal? And from a contact perspective, you'll get people, but a lot of them just hang right up on you. It's like, hey, this is Bryan with Click, So, I mean, and some people are going to talk to you, and those are the ones you care about. But a lot of the conversations are quick, because it's like, what? Who are you? I'm not selling a house. Like, I lived here 10 years, living here forever. Bye.
Yeah.
But then you get somebody who's like, oh, really? Like, oh, yeah, no, I saw your sign, and oh, this. And you just never know where it's going to go. So, but it's definitely a high volume game. And if somebody has got a goal for contacts and they're getting to the end of their prospecting and they're tired, that's the best thing to do, is get a list of 100 people to call and just go.
So you talked a lot about your 20 contacts, 25 of them. Talk about that process and what that looks like for you. Like, say for instance, you had 3 healthy conversations today from a for sale by owner expired. What does your next move look like? What is that process?
Like a follow-up process, you mean?
Yeah.
So I do thank you cards. I'm not 100% sold if they work that much. I've gotten a couple of listings from them, so you could argue they do, but I send a lot of them. So if I talk to somebody and we have a meaningful conversation where I think they have some interest and there's opportunity, I'm sending them a thank you card, and my wife helps in the back end with that. So I log everything right in the system and put it into a leads folder. And I don't know if it 100% qualifies as a lead, but it's somebody who hasn't told me no, right? So I'll shoot them a card and I'll follow back up to see if they got it, and talk to them. I used to send more stuff in the mail. I've kind of backed off that. Now I usually just stay in touch over the phone. Like, hey, this is Bryan, EXP. We touched base a few weeks ago, just touching base to see how things are going with the house, and they'll tell you whatever they're going to tell you about it. And then you follow back up with, same conversation you had the first time, and like, can I help you sell your home? And I won't go through a whole script, but you talk to them and ask them questions and see where they are. And at some point, like for sale by owner, they're going to either sell their house or they're going to get frustrated and hire somebody. So if you're in regular contact with them, the chances of you getting hired are higher. And even if you're in regular contact, sometimes you don't. I've had a few lately that I was sure I was going to get, and they sign with an agent, like the day before I call back again. you know, and I don't know that I did anything wrong with follow-up, but it's definitely, if you can get an appointment, get in front of somebody, do that before you rely on follow-up. Because I think the first time you talk to somebody is your best chance to get an appointment.
Well, I'm reading what I've read is the 61-day lead generation by Scott Groves, and he talks about one of the chapters, and I coach it up often, and you nailed it 3 or 4 different times. And the title of the chapter is, if you don't follow up, follow through.
Yep.
And I think that's such an important key ingredient, because a lot of times you talk to agents, well, I called 20 people today. Okay, well, what took shape of that? How did you record it? What did you write it down? What is your next step? Follow up with them, because we all know that if you call for sale by owner, especially if they just listed today, their pain is not high enough yet for them to make that transition. Typically, they haven't been depressed yet. They haven't sucks. Like they're like all excited thinking they can sell their house, and here they are. And I'm, obviously you hear it all the time. It's like, well, I just put it on there right now. We're not going to list it for now. Like really list it for now 3 weeks. We were just seeing what's out there, what type of.
Right. Yep. And they sign with an agent 3 days later.
Yeah. And that's why we make those phone calls. That's right. Because they, you and I know, like, to me, a for sale by owner, that's their way of asking for help. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they don't recognize it yet of what they're doing. And that's the value proposition of where you get at. So what are the things, there's 2 questions I want to ask you here before we get ready to sign off here and conclude. Mm-hmm. And the first one is, I know Ferry, and you've been coached with him. We went out to Vegas, and so what is this? It's over a year now, almost 2 years.
It's been almost 2 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So talk to me a little bit about the mindset of like any books or something that you would recommend to agents that you would say, hey, this is my life-changing book was the one thing. And then I read other different, now the 61-day thing is my new book that has been kind of a life-changing for me. Do you recommend that an agent that like, hey, this is something that really was impactful to you?
Yeah, the Energy Bus was a good one for me. That I liked a lot, because it's so much of like society, the very, very negative thinking, miserable at a job, all that stuff, and the turnaround from that. And I think in real estate, it's very easy to get negative very, very fast because people reject us all the time. So that got me in that positive mindset of like, what can I do? How do I stay in a good mindset? Because there are people, like you said, right now who think, the world is ending and everything's terrible. And there's a lot of bad things going on. I'm not discounting that. But like I said, I'm living in a world where I have good people around me, and there are lots of challenges, but my life is good. And if I can help other people, fantastic. And my job is to go out and service my clients and provide for my family. And so I stay focused on that. And when I stay focused on that, I'm pretty positive about what I'm doing, and when, for me, not to get spiritual, when God calls out and says, hey, I need your help with this, I know, because it's presented right in front of me. And, by having success in business, you have the opportunity to do that. You meet a lot of people, and you get the opportunity to make choices to do the right thing or the wrong thing. And, doing the right thing, definitely puts you in a place where you're going to grow your business even more. Sometimes you got to give away a little bit more to get to that next level. And it might not be financial. It might just be getting to that point where you're comfortable or doing what you want to do or around the people you want to be around. So the dollar is easy to get focused on in this business. I can tell you last year, I think I got too focused on that. And now I'm just focused on, okay, doing everything that I can as efficiently as I can, having productive days, and then, cutting it off and going home and spending time with my family and doing other things, because I don't have to work 24/7. I can if I want to, but I don't anymore.
I think there's a balance that takes shape when you become, as I say, the veteran compared to a rookie, where you're just looking at every shiny object possible, and you're just like, I'm gonna drop everything and I'm gonna go work, and it's like, whoa, hold on, what's the most important thing here? And I think it's that balance between family and your family or your wife.
Yeah.
And so you got to know when to go in and know when not to go in. And I mean, Father's Day is a perfect example. Like, you were still present with the family. Yeah, you touch base on your phone to make sure everything's good, but you had that balance. You weren't like immersed in your cell phone every time I looked over. You were like, hey, couple minutes here, we'll play with your kids. And I think that's an important ingredient that a lot of people miss out on.
Yeah, and I think too, I'll full disclosure and put some things out there. I've been through bouts of depression, in real estate, where it really got me down. I think even during COVID, I was starting to hover in there, and people who suffer from any kind of depression know that it's rough. And I had some of it that first year. There's so much going on and you get so excited and then everything just comes crashing down and you're like, what do I do? So the reason I share that one is because, you can get through those spots, and get whatever help you need. But I mean, on top of that too, you can get to a point where no matter what is happening, you can still be successful. And just because you have a downtime doesn't mean that it's over. It's just a downtime, right? Like a season of life where it's like, okay, things didn't go as well. Like during COVID, like money wasn't really coming in, because got a little off track. And, my wife was saying like, this makes me nervous. And I'm like, it doesn't for me. Because as soon as I came back in the office and like you said, the light switch flipped, it's like, I know that I can do it and make the money and we'll be just fine, and now it's right back where I knew that it would be. But that takes some drive and experience and the ability to, plow through when you're going through those hard times and realize it's okay. So you got a friend in this.
I don't even know whose dog this is. But
it's Ridley's.
Oh, it's like, oh, there's a little dog right here.
He was just outside my door.
There's a golden retriever right here.
Yeah,
so,
we're a pet-friendly office. Unless our landlord's watching, then that dog just ran into stray off the street.
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty. I'm like, whose dog is this right there? So one is I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you sharing that because I know a lot of people go. I mean, I don't even know I kind of know the statistics, but I know 1 in 4. There's a lot of people that go through depression. And in Corona, I mean, that was one of the main reasons why they were nervous about how soon to open up the economy because people are going through they're going to go through depression. Suicide is going to increase. Like they said, the suicide hotline was like through the roof. They said, it leads you to pass that. But like alcohol beverage or sales went up 55%. Like and we know alcohol is a depressant, so it's like just leading people towards the path that is if they don't have the right mindset.
Yeah.
I know.
Turn off the news and go for a walk. That's what I say.
Yep.
People give me a hard time about not being up to date on what's happening in the world. I can tell you, when I do that, boy, it's like this is a dark, dreary place, right? We're out there. We're out there watching the news and they're in sales too, just like we are. They're selling something they know people will watch. So they're trying to grab you and they will if you want to, but I don't want to follow that path. I mean, like I said, I'm outside with my kids. I'm working in my yard. I'm seeing people. I'm trying to do things that fill my mind with positive stuff these days.
And I think you and I speak a carbon copy on this and how we start our day. We're very similar to this and I feel like I could share this, we have to start off with prayer. We have to start off with positive mindset and motivation. We watched a lot of videos and going through with it because you've got to fill your beginning part of your day. I mean, we're human beings. Like people always like, Brock, you're so happy. I'm like, if you saw what was inside my head right now, you would run. But I start my day on positive, motivational type of stuff because when shit hits the fan and bad things take place, we have to have a switch, and we hear it all the time. I have to pivot. I have to go in a different direction because, like you said, is good. So last thing here, tell us something that many people. And I ask these questions now because I want to get your quick initial thought. Tell us something people don't
don't know about me.
Yeah, what's something that like a lot of people don't like me is a lot of people don't know I worked on a dairy farm and I milked cows and I fed calves and I did that when I was 13 years old. So what's something that you have that I don't know about you?
Well, something that I just started getting back into this year is playing the guitar, which I used to play in high school, a little bit in college, and really haven't played for like 15 years. And now I play all the time. And I bring it outside to like fire pits of my neighbors or places, and everyone's just like looking at me playing the guitar and singing, being like, were you just like hiding this in your closet for the past 20 years? Like, did you just learn guitar yesterday? So I play the guitar and I sing. I don't know if I'm any good, but I do it anyways. And I enjoy it. It's something like one of those things, a positive thing that I got going right now that I'm using like as a mindset. So maybe I'll even bring in the office and start playing on my 10-minute breaks until everyone tells me to stop.
Hell, we got dogs here, so I mean, bring in the guitar, come on down. You did play the guitar. I remember younger, you would pull that out. We played in the garage back at the old stomping grounds in Henderson Park. So, last but not least, Brian, there's a lot of agents who we know 80% don't make it through this time period. It's just a statistic, and to help those 80% to make it into that 20% category, because I think, like you nailed it, mindset and just going through the action that you would say that they could do today to put them in a better position on the real estate side.
Pick one thing that you know that you are. That's like the one thing. It's like pick one thing that you know that you're willing to do, right? Because there's a million things in this business. If it's open houses, make it open houses. If it's for sale by owners, make it for sale by owners. Like, it's better to have a bunch, but just pick one and go at it hard and give it at least 90 days of working that. I guarantee you, if you do what's asked, like you're going to get business from it. I've watched people right here in this office do it. People who are like, I can't make it, I'm not going to make it. And then they start applying it and doing it every day. Next thing you know, I've got 2 or 3 listings and I've got a buyer, and things start to happen. I promise you that if you do the work, you will reap the rewards, but you're going to get beat up along the way. It's just a matter of the people who can handle the beat up and keep going. And there are days that I'm like, yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody else. I don't want to do this. And days when my mindset's not good. Don't think anybody who's like a top producer. I don't mean somebody like me. I mean somebody like these guys in the Mike Ferry stage who are making $2 to $4 million a year. They have days where they feel like they're frauds and they're failing. And I look at that and I'm like, how can you feel that way doing that? Like you're selling hundreds of units a year, you know, huge clienteles, but it's just this business and it's just life too. You're going to have days where you think you're great and days when you don't.
No, absolutely. I was going to say something to you, but I don't know. I lost track of. Oh, I was going to say what you focus on expands. And we were talking about that because you and I role play in the mornings. And like I started focusing on certain aspects of it. And I was talking to one of the bold coaches yesterday, actually, and her and I were having a conversation. It's like, I recognize that if I focus on something and put like literally effort into it and turn it into action, like things take shape. It's so true. And that one thing that you said for the agents to do, if you focus on that one thing and you focus on it, it will grow and it will transpire and it could be in more than times a life-changing type of thing. Well, Brian, listen, I definitely appreciate your time being on here. For those of you, I'm going to put Brian's email address and phone number on here. You also have I'll put him on Instant Messenger here on Facebook. Brian's always looking to grow and to transform. If you like what Brian says and it resonated with you and you kind of like, wow, I need to hear more, feel free to reach out to Brian. I don't think he ever gets upset when other agents are reaching out to him.
Oh yeah, anytime.
As well as, this real estate market if you know Brian and you're looking to possibly buy or sell or invest or do something, call. He knows the systems. He knows what he's doing. I've seen it firsthand, and it's been pretty entertaining and pretty exciting and awesome to be able to watch you grow and what you've done over the last several years. And hats off to you and your. So I definitely appreciate your time today, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, bud. You enjoy it, and I'm sure I will. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right, bud. See you, man.
Bye.